Welcome to podcast 20, entitled Building Bridges Over Unpleasant Memories. This is the first part of a two-part podcast from chapter 4. You know, whatever we're going to teach on is going to happen in our own marriage, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Last couple of weeks, we've been talking about this and dealing with this, so it's fresh in our mind. When we told you on the last podcast, we'd speak from our heart, because really what we're talking about is getting from one place, feeling stuck at that place in your relationship, and trying to get to the next place. And usually what's between you is some unforgiveness or things that have happened in the past or frustrations. For us, what we've defined them, we call them traumatic triggers, especially when they're dealing with the past. And I'm actually going to read from the book. This is how we define a traumatic trigger that we're trying to get over in our marriage. We say this: it's an unpleasant memory that unexpectedly surfaces and sucks the life out of your relationship.
Quiet on the set. Lights. Camera. Action. Roll camera.
Really?
It does. It feels like a vacuum is just sucking it right out of your chest.
Well, yeah, you know, for women, it does feel that way. And for guys, you know, it's probably something in our stomachs. But let me give you an example of what we're talking about. She doesn't know the example I'm going to share, but this happens from our very first 40-day mission trip. We left on the same anniversary date as our first wedding, and it was September 2nd. And we went on this 40-day trip, not knowing how we were going to go about it. We had places we needed to be, but here's what happened. Clint Bragg didn't make reservations on Labor Day weekend on our way going out to the East Coast. And what happened is when I got down to L.A. and turned to go east on I-10, we started looking for hotel rooms, and there wasn't anything available. And we stopped at maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 places, and everybody said there's no room in the inn. Mm-hmm. Well, what happened is Penny's getting upset.
Hungry and grumpy, if I remember right.
She was, and the thing about it was I was getting angry at myself inside for not making this reservation. She was thinking I was angry at her because my body language and the way I was acting felt like I was being mad at her.
It brought me of the past. It brought the past right back.
Yeah, and for me, I was saying, oh man, here I go. I'm screwing up again, and I'm beating myself up, and I'm saying, Lord, how could I have done this? And so we go, and she says, oh, I'm hungry now. Let's get something to eat. So I see a sign on I-10 and it says someplace to eat. So I pull off, not knowing it's another freeway that I turned on. And it was one of these freeways where I couldn't turn around for 16 miles. So that's 32 miles round trip. I'm steaming inside, and she's thinking I'm mad at her.
The gap just got a whole lot bigger.
Yes, and so here we are. We're eating our dinner finally, and there's not a word between us. We're silent. And I'm thinking she's mad at me, and she's thinking I'm mad at her. And what happens is after dinner we go and we're trying to find another inn and another inn. We went 2 or 3, and all of them said nothing is available. And finally, she was almost in tears. And I finally looked her in the face. And I said, sweetheart, I screwed up. I let you down. And she says, what? I says, I screwed up. I should have had reservations for us, and I didn't do that. And then I didn't get you something to eat when it was supposed to, and it's my fault. I'm sorry. And she says, oh, I thought you were mad at me. She forgave me right then and there on the spot.
And he asked for forgiveness, which I didn't expect. And right there, it was like we were building the bridge.
Yes.
Okay, the gap is really huge, but God just started laying down those beams, for us to build that bridge of forgiveness.
And what that did for me, when Penny didn't beat me up on the spot, she gave me grace. She gave me forgiveness back. She accepted my forgiveness. But here's the deal, what she did for me. She allowed me to be able to understand that when I'm frustrated with myself, that I could verbalize it with her, and that she was going to beat me up. She was going to help me get through it. And I think that's what happens with men. They don't want to let their woman down. They don't want to look foolish. And so as a result, they try to be the John Wayne guy, you know, stand up and say, suck it up, when in reality, they're trying to figure out how to get it done. And I'm saying, guys, you got to be able to verbalize what's going on and let your woman know exactly what's going on inside. Because when you do that, they're going to start to understand what's going on in your mind. And you guys are going to build that bridge that Penny is talking about in that area of communication.
And, you know, we learn through this process. We've hit plenty of traumatic triggers, so we've had a lot of practice. I finally learned that Clint needs to process, and it's going to take him a while to find his words and articulate. But if I force it, it's not, I can't force the bridge to be built. That's not going to work. If I wait on the Lord, bring it to the Lord as my husband, bring that frustration or whatever it is to him, then let him start building the bridge, and we start, you know, together, just that one piece at a time. Before we know it, we're on the other side of this thing, and then we can look back. Whenever we get to the other side, after we've crossed over a traumatic trigger, we get to the other side and we assess it, we process it, we talk about it, and we figure it out, because those are the things that the next time around God's going to use to help us get over the sticky point.
So, what are you going to talk about on...
Well, we're going to keep going with this, because it is pretty dicey.
Weren't you going to talk about the prayer cards?
Yeah, we want to mention that there is a set of Marriage on the Mend prayer cards, and you'll find the prayers at the end of every chapter. If you want the set of free Marriage on the Mend prayer cards that will help you deal with things like getting over traumatic triggers, just email us at reconcile@inverseministries.org. We'll send them to you for free. It would be our pleasure for you to be using them. So tune in next week. We're going to keep going on this very important topic of building bridges of forgiveness and faith over unpleasant memories.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, loads.
Bless you.